Good morning, everyone. Rare for me to say that. It is 10 a.m. Friday morning, and I am here to recap Friday night SmackDown. SmackDown did air in Perth, Australia. It was live for international Netflix or regular Netflix users that were utilizing a VPN, much like myself. And by the way, if you would like a VPN, right now I just put up the QR code upper right corner of the screen. You can sign up for a VPN and watch future international episodes of SmackDown. All right, let's talk about the show. Perth, Australia, one day away from Crown Jewel. As usual, hot international crowd, always very vocal. We had a video package with the Crown Jewel Championships being taken from Saudi Arabia, traveling all the way to Perth, Australia. A bit goofy, in my opinion, but they're trying to make a big deal out of it. Our WWE champion, Cody Rhodes, came to the ring and cut a promo to hype up his match with Seth Rollins. The Crown Jewel title was displayed in a case in the ring. Cody suggested that he is the Achilles heel of Seth Rollins. He's the one guy that Seth Rollins cannot beat. He went on for a while. He mentioned a bunch of WWE stars. He rambled. It was essentially a filler segment. Let's be real here. Just the final little promo to hype up the match. The crowd was chanting Seth is a wanker, and Cody actually threw the microphone over at Michael Cole. He wanted Cole to repeat the line, but Cole would not do it, so they had Wade Barrett deliver the line, and of course the crowd popped big for that one. That was the highlight of the segment. It really was just a throwaway, get Cody out there, talk for 5 minutes, blah, blah, blah. Not much to it. Backstage, we had Chelsea Green offering Stephanie Vaquer a spot in the Secret Service. Stephanie, of course, took the paper and threw it away. Then Stephanie and Tiffany had some words. They were scheduled for a tag team match, one of those can they coexist scenarios. Stephanie did agree to have Tiffany's back in the match. Then we had Jacob Fatu backstage confronting Cody Rhodes. We had a little tease of a world title match between Jacob Fatu and Cody. Cody walked off, and then Drew McIntyre attacked Jacob Fatu from behind. General Manager Nick Aldis and officials had to come in and break things up. Then we had Sami Zayn defending his United States title in an open challenge match. His opponent was the returning Shinsuke Nakamura, who we have not seen on TV in several months. He did do the matches in Japan, WWE Tour Japan recently, but beyond that, he really hasn't done much since the early part of the year. And I have some good news. I'm the opposite of Bad News Barrett. I have some good news for you all. Nakamura is back with his old theme song, and it looks like the heel turn has been dropped. The heel character is over. He's back to classic Shinsuke Nakamura. I'm very happy with this change. I was at the Royal Rumble, and he came out there and got pretty much zero reaction with that heel entrance music. It was bad. Nakamura's a babyface, and the music is great. The classic CFO song. Now, reportedly, multiple people in WWE have asked for their old theme songs back, and it looks like WWE might be granting those requests. There's more to this, which I will talk about shortly. Now, we had a very lengthy match between these two. They got plenty of time. Crowd was chanting, "Welcome back," in Nakamura. It was competitive between the two of them. They got 2 commercial breaks, a lot of time for these guys. And I was enjoying the match. I thought it was very good. I'm a little disappointed, though, with how it ended, though, because it was a DQ. Nakamura did not lose this. And in fact, he hit a Kinshasa. Zayn got his foot on the rope, and Nakamura went for another one, and he got attacked by a masked man. I feel like this gimmick's overdone. Anytime somebody returns, they're all covered up, and then they have to do the big reveal. I think it's a little silly, but that's just me. Anyways, a masked guy attacked Nakamura. That caused the DQ. I'm not the biggest fan of when we have a long match end in a DQ, a non-finish, but I do like the presentation of what we got here at the end, because the guy unmasked, and it is the returning Tama Tonga, and he's got this war paint on. He's got this face paint, and then we had the entire MFTs out there wearing the face paint, and they attacked Sami Zayn. Nakamura tried to help out, but he was outnumbered 4-2. MFTs just completely beat down Nakamura and Sami Zayn. Solo Sikoa was out there, so happy with his work, and they stood tall. The crowd was chanting "F you, Solo." I think that this has potential. I agree with Matthew that it might be a little too late because they cooled off. However, doing the face paint and everything and having a strong presence here, you got all the guys back together. I do feel like it could amount to something, but the real key is the follow-up. I did like it for what it was. I hope the guys can stay healthy. Hopefully there's no injuries and they don't lose their momentum. They got something. It's something better than what they had before. So we'll see where it goes. Backstage, Nick Aldis announced that Drew McIntyre would face Jacob Fatu on next week's SmackDown. Fatu attacked McIntyre. Officials came in to break it up. And I think they're in California next week, but let me know if I'm wrong on that. I believe so because they said it was Jacob Fatu's neck of the woods. I think it's San Jose, but again, don't quote me on that. We had a tag team match. Stephanie Vaquer and Tiffany Stratton, the women's champions for their respective brands, versus Giulia and Kiana James. Pretty basic tag match here. They did get some time. Giulia and Kiana were working well together in this one. And they got the upper hand for a bit. Then Tiffany got a hot tag. But again, Giulia and Kiana worked well together for a bit. Giulia hit Tiffany with the Northern Lights bomb and was perhaps on the verge of winning. But the pin got broken up. Stephanie made the save. All 4 women were in the ring. And then Tiffany was able to pin Kiana with the prettiest moonsault ever. And we did get the Devil's Kiss very early on in the match, as Matthew pointed out, to Kiana James. It was fine. Again, can they coexist? They did. They worked together. They got the win. Kind of filler. Backstage, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss confronted Sol Ruca and Zarya, and a future match was set up between them. I don't believe they announced when the match will take place, but we will be getting a tag team title match at some point with these 2 teams. Then we had the tag team titles for the men on the line. We had the Wyatt 6, Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis, defending against the Street Profits. And going back to earlier, WWE stars reportedly asking for their music to be changed. The Street Profits back with their old music. Now, it's funny to me if they get their old music back only to break up in a couple of weeks, because that's been the tease that they're going to break up. I'm happy, though, that they have their old music back. Definitely the right call. That old music was terrible. Glad they have the CFO song back. Match was pretty solid. Mostly your standard tag team match, but you had the Profits getting in a lot of offense. They did that double blockbuster, which got a big pop from the crowd. Nikki Cross saved her team from losing the titles. She got attacked by B-Fab, and then B-Fab was distracted by Eric Rowan. You had things breaking down. Dawkins came over the top with a dive onto Rowan, and Montez Ford went for the frog splash to Gacy, but Lumis pulled him out of the way. Ford crashed and burned, and then Lumis and Gacy hit their finisher, the Plague, to retain the tag team titles. No further tease of a Street Profits breakup. They just didn't get the job done. So we'll see what happens with that. It was solid. And what was interesting was post-match, because we had the MFTs showing up. So they're in more than one storyline now, or at least we're getting a tease of that. The MFTs confronted the Wyatt Six, and the crowd really liked this. There was no Uncle Howdy, though. Howdy was not on the show for whatever reason. And the MFTs with Solo confronted the Wyatts, and we got the big holy shit chant from the fans. It was a cool moment. And this, again, is a nice start for the MFTs, or a restart, reboot, whatever you want to call it, now that they're all together as the group with the war paint. I think it has potential. You know what it reminds me of? I think back to when the Wyatt family broke up, and then you had Luke Harper kind of on his own, Eric Rowan on his own, and then they formed the Bludgeon Brothers. And I thought that was a cool team, and it was kind of like a little reboot for them. And I feel the same way about the MFTs with this, just a little bit of an overhaul with them. You got the guys all back together. You got the war paint. I'll give it a shot here. We'll see what happens. Backstage, we had The Miz calling out Carmelo Hayes for having the audacity to leave him, and The Miz did declare that Melo missed. Just a little simple segment here to further that feud. And then we had our main event of the show, which was Aleister Black versus Damian Priest in a last man standing match. We had the steel steps being used. We had kendo sticks. They brawled by the stage. They came back to the ring. Black did this Meteora off the top, or off the second rope, with Priest laid out on the steel steps. Then they were brawling by the ringside area again, and Priest gave Black 2 razor's edges on the announce table, but both times Black was able to beat the 10 count. So Priest decided to take Black into the crowd, and they ended up fighting on top of these platforms, and you had a table very conveniently down below. I mean, it's a little too obvious, but it makes for a cool moment, and we had quite the finish here. So Priest was on the verge of finishing off Black, but then we had the surprise of Zelina Vega, who in real life is married to Aleister Black, but they haven't been together on WWE TV. Zelina shielded her husband, and Black was able to capitalize on this, and he threw a fireball into Priest's face and then gave him the Black Mass kick. Priest fell off the platform and crashed through the table below. He failed to beat the 10 count. Aleister Black was declared the winner. Him and Zelina embraced. She didn't do like the evil smile or anything, so maybe it's not a full-fledged heel turn just yet, although we might have to see what happens with the follow-up. But yeah, she was there embracing Aleister Black, her real-life husband. I don't even think the announcers acknowledged that they're married in real life. So we'll see what the follow-up is for this. But I think it's absolutely the right move for Zelina and really Aleister Black for that matter. I like the idea of them being paired together in the storyline. To me, it gives her something to do, and it's fresh. You know, they haven't really been together on WWE TV. So yeah, I like the ending of the show. I like the fireball finish. I was actually surprised by that. That caught me off guard. You know, there's not too much these days that I'm like, oh wow. But that was, even though we see fireballs all the time in wrestling, I just wasn't expecting it in this moment. So it did catch me off guard, and I really did enjoy it. Overall, I thought SmackDown was solid. It had some filler, but it did have some interesting moments on the show. I did like the main event and the finish of the main event, and I did like the overall presentation of the MFTs being fully together with the war paint, and they did set up some things for the future. It was not too bad. I'd probably go 6 out of 10. Good SmackDown. There were a few things you can check out if you haven't watched the show yet and you just wanted to hear my thoughts. Definitely the stuff with the MFTs and the main event are worth checking out. Shout out to Ryan, who was live at SmackDown, and I'm happy for the entrance music. I almost want to go with a 7, and I might do that. I might bump it up to a 7 because of the entrance music changes. Hey, it's my stream. I can do what I want. I'll go ahead and go as high as a 7 for the entrance music changes. And the wrestling was good on the show. It did feel focused, and they didn't have too many things happening on the show, but the things they did have, you know, the matches got time, and there were some storyline developments. So, yeah, I'll go ahead 7. I'm thinking like 6.5, but I don't do that. So if I'm rounding up, I'll give it a 7. There you go. And I don't know if they made changes with the creative team, but this was a pretty decent show. Thank you guys for watching at the early time. I appreciate it. I know it's unusual, but I do thank you for watching, and I will be back again after Crown Jewel. I'm guessing it will be a bit later than this, likely an hour or so. I'm guessing it'll be a 3-hour broadcast, maybe 3.5 hours, with all the advertisements and video packages between matches. They only got 5 matches, but you know how this goes. It'll likely be closer to 3.5 hours. Whenever it's over, I will be right on here to recap the show, and then we'll be doing this again on Monday. And again, since Raw's 2.5 hours, I'll be on a little bit later, although they did wrap this up early. I don't know if it's because of the Netflix setup internationally, and they just throw in more commercials on USA Network. But yeah, the show was over before 10 a.m. Eastern, about 8 minutes before, and I'm not complaining. Anyways, thank you guys again for watching. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com today for final news before Crown Jewel. And if you need a VPN, check out that QR code in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Take care, everybody. I'll see you after Crown Jewel. Say yes to NoDQ.com. Thank you very much. Until next time.